behold the classic timeless beauty that is the Ducati 998. It's got those classic lines with that dinky rear end and those unique underseat exhausts right the way through to that tiny frontal area there that you've seen at the front of 1,000 World Superbike freight trains in the hands of Foggy, Bayliss and the rest of them. No doubts about it, this is a very special motorcycle. For almost every other manufacturer on the planet, keeping their flagship sports bike looking next to identical year in and year out would be nothing short of retail suicide. But normal rules do not apply to this bike. I mean, here is a motorcycle that is capable of reducing normally fit and healthy young men to doddering wrecks within 10 minutes of fighting through town traffic. It's also a bike that rarely makes sense below 90 miles an hour on the open road or at a racetrack. And also, it needs plenty of TLC to keep it in tip-top nick. Now, it's hardly sounding like the fodder of 1,000 motorcycling wet dreams so far, is it? But then you look at it and all the negatives somehow fade away. You sling a leg over that barely padded excuse for a seat and feel the sheer narrowness of the bike. You pitch forward to those low bars, see the perfectly basic speedo staring back at you from inside that dinky little nose cone, and you hit the starter. And now you're bombarded on all fronts. The feel of the bike all taut and precise beneath you, and the boom from those twin pipes as that big Testastretta motor clamours for you to give it some stick. You might as well give in now because resistance is futile. I've got a lot of memories attached to this bike here and its predecessors. I remember riding one of the early 916s as a scrote on the first bike mag I worked for and being absolutely blown away by its ability to lap my favourite roundabout 10 miles an hour quicker than anything else I'd ridden at that point without even trying. I remember losing the back end of the same bike a week later and ending up in a ditch. Then there was the limited edition Foggy Rep that I had a year or so later, that I actually kept in my lounge overnight just so as I could look at it, and got up at 5 AM every morning simply to go for a ride for the hell of it because it was so amazing. Later there would be the 996S that pinged me over the high side at 100 miles an hour and then had the courtesy to run me over as we went into a Spanish gravel trap after I got a little careless with the throttle. And then of course there was the 996 SBS that I spent a day with at the Nogaro circuit in France. One of the best days track riding I think I've ever had. But enough waffling already, because the point of all this is that every model of this bike that I've ridden has left its impression burned indelibly into my mind, and the memories are only good.
Now let's play Guess the Sheep, shall we? We have 2 wheels, 2 disc brakes, an exhaust system, a seat, a 500cc engine and a mean pair of headlamps. Any ideas? Is it a motorbike? No, it's not, it's a bike. Well, it's a scooter that thinks it's a bike. It's the Piagio X9 with a 500cc engine and electronic fuel injection. It's the first in the world. It's a bit of a beast, isn't it? If you're used to a small 50cc twist and go scoot, the X9 will initially feel enormous, but you soon get used to it, especially when you pull the throttle and expose its power, which feels endless. When it comes time to park it up, we'll have no problem getting this lump on its stand. Check this out. How clever is that? An electronic centre stand. It's great, it really saves you having to heave it backwards and forwards. And it's got some great features as well, more like what you'd find inside a car. The dashboard, for example, it's all electronic and it's even got a stereo system and an intercom. Superb. There's hazard warning lights. You'll even find a rev counter at the side of the speedo. This bike could beat a few hot hatches away from the lights, and 70 mile on the motorway and the X9 still wants more. And so does the rider. The suspension soaks up humps and bumps quite nicely, and the handling is faultless. The sound of the engine, ooh, well, it roared like a lion. Okay, a lioness anyway. Well, I said it had got some car-like features, but check this out. One flick of the ignition and push it in to reveal two little flaps. Press this one right here and you'll see where you fill it with petrol, which is neatly covered up. Press the other button and this enormous seat lifts up to reveal ample storage. Now, I've managed to get one lid in here, but of course a bike this size, you're probably very often going to be having two riders. And sadly, I don't think you're going to get two helmets in. You might do if they're not full face, but it's always best to wear a full face helmet. But that fits in there quite nicely, and you could stow gloves and a little bit of shopping in around there. And Piaggio, they've even supplied a cover for the bike for when it's raining or you just want to cover it up, especially if you don't like the colour. Oh, talking of colours, this is lemon yellow, but you can also get it in a metallic blue or a shocking silver, which I think might give it a bit more street cred. The scooter's not just rider friendly, but it's environmentally friendly too, with 0 emissions. There's no excuse now for leaving the car behind and getting on 2 wheels. Now, this beastie of a scooter certainly deserves a 9 out of 10 for its performance, I reckon. It's got a single-cylinder 4-stroke engine which kicks out 39 brake horsepower, but will go on to a top speed of 100 miles an hour on a scooter. It seems unreal, doesn't it? But I took it to blast down the motorway earlier. It's great, there's loads of power there. And as for comfort, the X9, yes again, deserves a 9 out of 10. This seat is superb. On a long journey, you'd have no problem. It is quite a wide seat, but it's well shaped, it's nicely cushioned, and Piaggio have given us a little backrest over here. Plenty of room for a pillion as well, and these little footrests for them too, and there's also a handy grab rail on the back. They've got it right. On closer inspection of the X9, I can't find anything wrong with it. Piaggio have made some cracking little scooters over the last few years, and this big boy doesn't let them down either. I think it's going to have to be another 9 out of 10. Now, if you're looking around to buy yourself a big fat scooter, then you might just have found the one you want to buy, especially if you're looking for great value for money. We've got to give the X9 10 out of 10 because it's competitively priced at just under 4.5 grand. Now, when you look round at the competition, you've got Yamaha's T-Max, which is just under 6 grand. But there's the Aprilia Atlantic, which comes in at 4,800. But this one, the X9, it looks like a real steal. And as for street cred, well, it just hasn't got any. That is, of course, unless you can manage to wheelie it all the way up and down the high street, which I wouldn't recommend. I mean, it's not the fact that I dislike it, it's just who actually buys these scooters and who actually rides them? Interesting that. Oh, all right then. Got to give it something. 4 out of 10.
The Piaggio X9 500cc scooter, absolutely bonkers. I love it. It just, 500cc on a scooter, as fast as you want, bye-bye cars, room for stuff, wind protection for a big man like myself is really handy, up and down to the shops. I quite like it, bright yellow, stands out, people notice you, twist and go, all automatic. I love it, it's great.
And so we come to this, the 998, and the end of the line for this fabled model. But even though the 999 has now come along to steal its thunder as the flagship model in Ducati's range, this will continue to be made, and for my money, it's still the beauty of the pair. No matter how much better a motorcycle the 999 may be to actually live with day after day. So what have we actually got here? Well, that frame's off last year's 17 grand 996R and has an adjustable headstock angle as standard. 24.5 degrees is where they're normally set from the factory and gives rock solid stability, but can make the steering heavier than it need be, especially through tight flick-flack sections of track like Alton Park's chicane. The steeper 23.5 degree option does help steering at the track no end, but it can leave the front a little frisky on very fast sections. Changing between the two is no roadside affair, however, requiring a helpful mate and a far better toolkit than the one under the seat at the very least. But I digress. The rear shock is a fully adjustable Öhlins instead of the showy unit that used to grace the base level models, but the forks are still cooking grade, fully adjustable upside down showers. But no matter, because the ride quality and mid-corner confidence are as sublime as ever on this bike. The brakes up front are quality Brembo affairs, while the lightweight Marchesini race wheels at both ends are the icing on the cake. And to finish the whole lot off, it's all dipped in the deepest red paint money can buy. Bravissimo! Well, we could have waited for a few more road miles on the 998, but to be honest, unless they really are fast and flowing, the racy riding position and the relatively slow steering can conspire to make slower corners a rather fumbling and awkward affair. Instead, we went to Alden Park, joint holder of the Maddest Track in Britain award alongside Cadwell. There you go. But thank heavens we're back, because it's part 2 now. There are 2 key parts to the 998 experience at the track, and the first is that motor. Now, fuel injection's nothing new, but Ducati have just managed to get it oh so right ever since that first 916 all those years ago. From the slightest hint of throttle, the bike's away and rolling. Those twin pistons pumping up a smooth, surging spread of soft, strong power that starts from nowhere, peps up at 3,000 revs, and then booms away to the 10.5 grand red line before you know it. Other big twins are similar, but none quite have the live feel to their delivery the Ducati does, and none ever manage to sound quite as horny, no matter how much cash you splash on an exhaust. Second key part of the 998 experience is as soon as you get it into a corner. You'll need plenty of body weight to haul it into the turn, as the steering is always a touch lazy, and once you're committed to a corner, the bike isn't especially nimble despite its accuracy. But the way that front end digs in has to be felt to be believed. It feels as if you could gladly ride the thing off the edge of its tyres and it'd still grip. Every incarnation of this bike since the first 916 has had this rock solid poise, and this one is no exception. Like wheelies. These need treating with care, as rough landings can ding the Marchesini wheels, and also if you hold them up too long, the oil light will come on as the front cylinder begins to starve of oil. But pick your moment and play gently, and wheelies on these are a joy to behold as the bike sits on its back wheel, seemingly at will, like some demented unicycle. Well, there's the back brake with its dinky lever, all very pretty but always ineffectual, combining minimum power with negligible feel. Or the way you could just look at that thing forever. It's dripping with beautiful details from the teeny little Zeus fasteners right the way through to those characteristic underseat pipes. No, whichever way you slice it, 999 or no 999, the 998 is still a very special motorcycle, and if you let it get under your skin, chances are you'll be hooked for life.
How do you design the ultimate sports tourer? One way is to look closely at the opposition and combine the best qualities from other marques. Or you can go your own way, carving out new and radical design solutions to some of motorcycling's oldest problems. BMW have never been a company to follow the herd, and this latest K1200 RS shows that when it comes to design innovation and quality of engineering, they have few peers. Not that BMW have rushed into anything with this design, you understand. The engine is a development of the original 4-cylinder K100, which first saw the light of day back in 1983. Now bored out to 1171cc and carrying 4 valves per cylinder, the DOHC fuel-injected motor produces 130 brake horsepower and 87 foot-pounds of torque. Unusually, the flat 4 design has all its cylinders on the left, the crankshaft driving through a 6-speed gearbox to a shaft final drive. BMW have now taken things a stage further by adding their radical telelever and paralever suspension systems, first seen on the Boxer twins. All this dazzling engineering has given the stylists rather a hard time. The bulbous fairing panels do a fine job of concealing the mechanics of the front suspension, but resulting in a dumpy, snub-nosed profile you'll either love or hate. The styling either looks super high-tech futuristic, or an inspired attempt to make form follow function depending on your perspective. I do love the tail light to bits though. But where BMW really score is in their ability to understand the needs of the rider. The company practically invented the term ergonomics and have made everything but everything on this bike adjustable. The handlebars adjust back and forth, the footrests have alternate mountings, and the seat gives a choice of 2 ride heights. The screen has 2 positions, and BMW have even fitted heated grips as standard. Only Quasimodo could fail to find a combination that offers maximum rider comfort. There's a fuel gauge, a clock, a digital gear position indicator, and a warning light for everything. It even has link brakes and ABS. The range of adjustments and accessory options mean you can really tweak this bike to meet your every need. Raise the footrests, lower the handlebars and go Sunday morning scratching. Clip the optional panniers on, raise the bars, drop the pegs and take off for a weekend in the south of France. On the road, the K1200 inspires absolute confidence. The strong Willing engine and stable geometry results in a supremely able, high-speed, long-distance tourer that's easy to handle. Open the throttle in any gear and the K1200 surges forward with a will. Keep an eye on the speedo though, because this bike will easily run up to a maximum speed in excess of 140 miles an hour and feels quite unhurried on the motorway at 120. Find an autobahn or get a good solicitor if you want to keep your licence. Marks out of 10. Performance 9. This bike is hard to fault in terms of sheer usability. The engine is strong and powerful, steering geometry is stable at all speeds, and the fully adjustable suspension is among the best you'll find anywhere. The computer-controlled linked braking system with ABS ensures rapid and safe stops under any conditions, and the bike is capable of covering huge distance at high speed in total comfort and safety. Isn't that what sports tourists should be all about? Comfort 9. With adjustable everything, you'll be hard pressed to find a combination of footrest, handlebar and seating position that doesn't suit you. I'd have liked another slightly higher screen position and a wider seat, but most normally sized people will find the comfort zone approaches nirvana. Build quality. Everything about this bike oozes quality. The engineering is first class, even down to details like the mirrors and switchgear, and finish on everything from the paintwork down to the fasteners is the best you will find anywhere. 9 out of 10 for build quality. Value for money. Including ABS, the K1200 RS comes in at just over 10 grand, which pitches it squarely at the Pan-European and the FJR 1300. Worthy competitors both, but lots of punters may also be tempted away by BMW's own boxer-engined R1150 RS, a lighter, raunchier but less powerful bike which nonetheless will satisfy most needs. BMs have a reputation for reliability and durability which keeps depreciation low. All in, 8 out of 10 for value. Street cred, 6 out of 10. It's a BMW and most people will associate the badge with quality. The styling won't suit everyone. The high quality engineering on show is unlikely to tempt sportier riders away from their R1s. This is a mature motorcycle for the mature rider and not really for posing. Buy one to ride.
BMW R1100S. I like this bike, it's different, it's almost agricultural, but it's not. It's different than your Fireblades or your R1s. It doesn't handle quite as well, but it is a really nice bike, very torquey, sounds great, and I love the looks with the twin pipes under the seat and everything, really good bike.
Performance, 8 out of 10. Awesome track manners meet raucous V-twin in sweet harmony. Styling, 10 out of 10. What else could it be? It's an icon, it's a classic, it's a timeless beauty. To be honest, it seems a shame to spoil the lines of the thing by plonking a rider on the top. Love them. Build quality, 6 out of 10. They're a lot better than they used to be, but even so, if you ride one of these through winter, you'll be rewarded with a rusty heap very quickly. Basically, you just need to have no expense spared servicing, and they'll be right. Street cred, 10 out of 10. This bike's icon status means that bikers and non-bikers know just who the daddy is when you've got one of these. Value for money. It's a tough one, this. If you want one of these bikes, then nothing I've said here is going to change your mind, and you'd probably pay whatever was asked. If you're not a fan of them or they don't do anything for you, it's just going to seem like an overpriced, largely useless motorcycle. All depends how you look at it. So I reckon we're going to have to go straight down the middle, give it a 5 out of 10.
Ducati 998 is a fantastic bike. It looks amazing, it sounds even better. It's fitted with a new Testa Stretta engine, which apparently is more economical. Whereas if you buy a Ducati, you don't really want economics anyway, you just want to have a good time. Looks good, sounds good, goes good. People love it, I love it, buy one.
Well, I'm afraid that's it for this episode of Bike File, as the fat lady has well and truly sung for us here today. However, do join us for the next episode, because we have got so much more great stuff coming up that we're just dying to share with you.